Yeah, you know the deal.
So this is being recorded so that we can edit a polished version of this, not just having us rambling. So if you're watching live, you'll understand.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep.
Oh, wait. In this episode of The Full Nerd, Ryzen Threadripper, Core i9, and Vega is here. Kinda, sorta. Welcome to The Full Nerd, episode 23, recorded on May 19th, 2017. I don't know why we give the dates, like anybody cares. I'm Gordon Ung with co-host Brad Sharkus.
Hey, y'all.
Reviews editor Elena Yee.
Hey, everybody.
And controlling the vertical and horizontal is Adam Patrick Murray, who will now try to disconnect us from the actual topics you care
this
about.
This episode brought to you by Forks. It helps people eat all over the world every day. Go to your local fork provider and get yourself some good old forks.
Well, what if you like spoons?
Whoops.
I'm a fat guy.
No, just kidding. That wasn't the end. That was a joke.
Adam, are you saying if you had the one utensil in your... See, I'm taking it off the rails now. You would take a fork over the spoon? That's like your choice?
What would I take?
Or you're on the island. You got one... The plane's going down. You got to grab one thing out of the galley. Plane, fork, knife, or spoon.
Knife. Well, what kind of knife? Butter knife? Steak knife?
It's a plain knife, so it's probably made out of saran wrap. So... Come on, look, too late.
I would
Plane's
say
gone.
knife.
Now you got nothing.
Knife. I'm going for the knife.
Look at that decision tree. You'll never make it.
Well, because you can find scoopable items on the island easy enough, but something sharp enough to cut,
Yes,
But this is
generally
a
the
plain
knife is your
knife that we're talking about.
Well, I was going to say I had my Leatherman tread on, but no, it doesn't have a knife.
It doesn't have a knife. TSA complaint. Okay, now we probably lost anybody who haven't showed up. I'm going to try to get us back on topic. We're going to be talking about Threadripper, Core i9, and Vega. And the first thing I want to talk about is Vega, because I don't know anything about it except, man, it looks pretty cool. It's here, right, Brad?
It's here. The first Vega graphics card is here, but it's not for any of us.
Why?
We've all been waiting for Vega, and at the AMD Financial Analyst Day event earlier this week, AMD finally introduced Vega, the Vega Frontier Edition, which I think is a pretty funny jab at NVIDIA Founders Edition.
I'm sorry, Brad. Just so we stay official, it's RX Vega. I need you to stay on topic or on.
Is it RX
This
Vega?
is not RX Vega.
What?
This is Radeon Vega, because this is for developers. I forget what they said. Product designers.
Hold up.
Imagination engineers. Stuff like
engineers.
that. This is for developers.
Sounds like Disney.
Oh my God, is that a title?
Well, Disney have their Imagineers.
The new frontiers, right?
No, but I just, can you really have a job as an Imagine engineer? Holy man, I could get that job.
I'm just saying, Disney used to call their people Imagineers.
No, they still do.
I don't know if they still do.
They still do.
They do? Yeah.
Well, Imagineer is different than...
It might have been Immersion Engineer. I think it was a fancy way to avoid saying VR developer or augmented reality developer and pissing off half the base.
I'm just thinking, because I could then tell people I'm an engineer. Oh yeah? What do you do? No, I make stuff up. I imagine it. All right, so this is a Pro card, right?
This is a Pro card. It's not necessarily for data centers like Radeon Instinct, but it's being sold under their Pro brand. It's not RX consumer brand. It's still pretty interesting because it gives us some details about what to expect out of Vega. The card has 16 gigabytes of HBM2 memory, high bandwidth memory. It has, just like the Fury X, 4,096 stream processors, so it's a pretty big GPU. And they showed it gaming at over 60 frames per second, between 60 and 70 frames per second in Sniper Elite 4.
What res?
That 4K resolution.
Oh, okay.
Although they didn't provide any, they didn't say what graphic settings they were running, so it's kind of hard to compare. But that rate is probably somewhere around GTX 1080 Ti levels.
Right, and that's not bad for a Pro card, right?
No, it's not bad for a Pro card at all. And Raja Koduri, the Radeon boss, actually did a follow-up AMA on the AMD subreddit, and he said that consumer versions of the card will actually be faster than this Frontier Edition, faster than what they were showing presumably both because of hardware and also because they'll have gaming optimized drivers. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I was going to say, first off, Si's in the chat. Hi, Si.
Hey, Si.
Also, Daniel on YouTube says, how much profit is in deep learning cards? I mean, are they putting this out there just to kind of get
tons.
expectations? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you can sell cards to professionals rather than consumers, like whenever we're dealing with consumer cards, we're always judging price to performance ratio. Developers are performance. These people will pay money, lots of money, to get things that kick butt. And I've been thinking this whole time with Vega, the way it's being built with the high bandwidth cache controller with HBM2 memory, the fact that it can connect to outside memory. It's like they're building it more to start getting into that, that market that NVIDIA's had up until this point.
The deep learning, the data center.
Yeah. So I'm not surprised to see this first card target developers.
Yeah, and then typically those what do those Pascal, the high end deep learning cards cost? I mean, like we're like, oh my god, Titan X costs $1,200. That's
thousands and
thousands of dollars. So pretty good money there. And clearly, I think we all agree deep learning is the new technology exploitable buzzword. So we can all deep learn everything, right? So crap loads of money.
It just always makes me think of the movie Deep Impact. I don't know why. It wasn't a good movie.
Well, they do have a similar word, I guess.
Just slightly similar.
I'm going to disagree. Not that I want to. I think that movie is not as bad as you think it was, because it came out competing with Armageddon, which was also an asteroid movie. And if you watch Deep Impact and you watch Armageddon, you'd be like, oh yeah, give me the Deep Impact Blu-ray,
But one had Aerosmith and the other didn't.
Yeah, and that's exactly. Look, in Deep Impact, you're like, yeah, humanity really should survive. In what Armageddon, I was like, oh man, I can see why the asteroid's coming for us. We deserve it. We deserve it. Right? Ben Affleck and whatever her face is. Liv Tyler.
Why would you kill yourself? Why would you sacrifice yourself for Ben Affleck? Is all I'm going to say.
I'm just saying.
I'll take Bruce Willis.
I like the whole. It's like, oh man, if we have to take out the entire planet, all of humanity, to take out Ben Affleck and Liv Tyler, so you never have to think about that scene again. That's like deal. Come
now
on,
you have
right?
a song in my head. I'm not going to forgive you for
Right,
that
see,
one
that's the
for a
same
while.
thing.
Don't hum
This is
it.
on
We
topic,
don't
by
have the
way,
license.
because this is all talking about New Frontiers, and those are all space related, right?
But I do have a good comment on Facebook. Dawn is asking AMD Vega, what's next? AMD M Bison, AMD Balrog, AMD Sagat.
AMD Blanca, come on.
There you go.
Well, see, that's
They'd
what
have to color it green, right? That'd be.
it's blue though, right? This card is blue.
This card there's two different versions of the Frontier Edition. There's an air-cooled blue one with gold accents, and there's a liquid-cooled gold one with blue accents that has an integrated liquid cooler that looks like the Fury X. And Raja Koduri said that one runs a little bit faster than the air-cooled version.
Fancy.
Another thing that's interesting about this Frontier Edition announcement is that it's coming out in late June. That's when it's hitting the streets. And at the very bottom of Raja Koduri's post about the Frontier Edition, he said, yes, you can game on this card, but if you're interested in gaming, wait a little bit longer for RX Radeon Vega, so the consumer cards. So he also said recently that they're going to be showing more about the consumer cards at Computex. He said that in his AMA. But the wording of it sounds like we might be waiting past June for these Vega cards. We'll have to see. Maybe we'll know more at Computex, but it sounds like the wait for Vega for normal people is going to be a little bit longer.
So Raphael on Facebook says pro cards are always more stable. Is that true?
I wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but
Yeah,
they do put a lot of work into support, for all those kinds of things, and they tend to they don't get quite as aggressive with overclocks and stuff like that because stability is important. But I wouldn't necessarily say they're more stable.
Yeah, and I would think most gaming cards, you can run those things flat out 24 hours, 48 hours a day. We've done that over, you just run it for a week and they don't explode. So they make a product that they have to warranty, so they're not going to push it to the edge from the factory. Usually, an overclock card might be a little different, from an AIB add-in board vendor. But Brad, I want to ask you, because I think in all this, I just realized between the last one, did we talk about Volta last time? I don't
Volta.
No, I don't think we did.
think so.
All the
No,
Volta
because we
news
haven't
from
done
the-
one since Volta came out. Nope.
Didn't they? But didn't Jensen talk about their sort of like Volta Next Gen part at GTC?
Oh yeah, and that thing's a freaking monster. It's
Right.
by far the biggest GPU ever announced, 815 millimeters squared. It's also targeted at deep learning, just like developers and stuff, just like this card, because that's where the money is. I'm not surprised to see that's where they're starting out. And I don't want to derail the Vega conversation too much, but that thing's a beast. It's also full of special hardware specifically for deep learning, tensor cores and stuff. So it's kind of hard to translate into what that'll mean for consumers. But it's really interesting to see Volta coming out right now before the Vega launch, because with Pascal, NVIDIA introduced Volta, and then they had the GTX 10 series launch like a month later. So, I mean, people are saying maybe the beginning of next year for NVIDIA's Volta cards, but if they launch it sooner, depending on Vega's performance, AMD could be in for a rough time.
So, now, of course, both Volta, the deep learning part, and the Radeon Frontier are HBM2. Do you think the consumer cards versions will actually be HBM2, or are they going to go more GDDR5X?
Vega definitely will.
Oh, really?
Vega definitely will. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I'm not. Don't quote me. Actually,
You already quoted yourself.
Too late. Yeah, I'm 99% sure they've confirmed that HBM2 will be in Vega. Right.
Wow. So I guess
they were talking about in the AMA today. Someone asked them about that. Are we going to see, a 16 gigabyte HBM2 Vega? And they couldn't say too much because as a publicly traded company, they can't talk about unannounced products. Blah blah blah. But Raja Koduri said in response to that, we're definitely looking into that kind of a deal. So.
Wow. I just would think the HBM2 would just increase the cost and enough to make it tough to include it over just GDDR5X.
Well, I mean, the Fury cards had HBM1.
Yeah.
It would be weird to back away from HBM2 now that it's available, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, I think a lot of people thought one of the things that sort of really hurt Fury was like you couldn't get the cards anywhere because a lot of people really thought the HBM yields were pretty bad, but I'm going to guess HBM2 is better, so...
People are speculating that might be the reason why Vega hasn't launched yet, because they're waiting for more HBM2 stock. But in the AMA last night, Koduri actually addressed that directly. He said that HBM1 was kind of tight because it was coming only from Hynix, whereas HBM2 is coming from both Samsung and Hynix.
Oh,
so
okay.
there's more
Dual
manufacturers developing it. So.
That helps. Do you have any idea how the consumer card is going to price in at? I mean, what are we guessing here?
It'll still, I think, totally depend on where it falls performance-wise, right? We know it does 4K 60 in Sniper Elite 4.
Right.
They said that the consumer versions, at least some of them, will be faster. So it depends on where the final cards fall.
On YouTube, Flames Tornado, great name, says if they release them at 400, NVIDIA won't have a chance.
That's true. If it's doing 4K 60, and it depends. The problem with that Sniper Elite 4 demo is that we don't know the graphics settings, so it's kind of hard to draw where that's coming from. But if they release a true 4K 60 card, that would put it on par pretty much or close to the GTX 1080 Ti. And if they release something in that ballpark for 400 park, NVIDIA wouldn't stand a chance unless they drop prices themselves.
Right. Well, would they? Because, I mean, couldn't NVIDIA do that? Because the 1080 Ti is last generation at this point. If Volta's coming out, I mean, they could. Could they theoretically cut the price of the Ti to 450, 500 even?
I mean, at this point, Pascal is a year old. Yeah, May 20th. It's over a year old. It was announced over a year ago. So I'm sure their manufacturing process is spot on with that. So I wouldn't be surprised if they could cut prices even more.
Well,
and I also wouldn't be surprised as far as $400 Vega cards go. It's always been speculation how many Vega cards there will be. But in the AMA I keep referencing, Koduri said that some flavors of Vega will be faster than the Frontier Edition, which suggests there will be multiple versions. So there might very well be a $400 card, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's the top end one.
At least one person on YouTube, Five Basher, says getting tired of waiting for Vega, about to dive in and get a 1080 Ti.
Yeah, that is hard sometimes. It's been a long wait, hasn't it?
Yeah. Something that bums, a lot of people are talking about that in forums and stuff. Something that bums me out reading the reactions as people are waiting for Vega is that so many people are waiting because they already have a FreeSync monitor. which is, one of the ace in the holes for AMD. That FreeSync is free, so it's in all kinds of monitors, whereas G-Sync's premium. And I love variable refresh rate technology, but it sounds like it's becoming just what I feared, that like you buy a monitor and you have it for 5 or 10 years, and people feel like they're locked into one particular brand because of the monitor they have, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I would you do it? I mean, if you had your FreeSync panel that you got on sale some Black Friday thing, would you just go if you couldn't wait anymore and you're running like like a 7 series card? Would you just do it?
I don't know. I mean, if you've been waiting that long, what's another month?
Yeah,
I agree with that.
It's not like there's going to be like major games all coming out like in this next month that make you like burn for that new card,
Yeah.
And the thing is, if it's enthusiast level card, so if it comes out and it doesn't hang or it's not priced well, who knows? I think there's more room to move because your card's already going to be pushing. Like if you buy a GTX 1080 Ti, you don't really need G-Sync or FreeSync. I mean, it's good if you're trying to push high-end 4K or something, but in general, your card's going to be pumping out so many frames that, it matters less.
Yeah, that's true. One thing I got to know. So like Frontier is a space thing? Because when I heard Frontier, I thought, what did they watch too much
Space.
Bonanza
Toon Caps.
reruns or something like that? I
Frontier.
saw like covered wagons and like tumbleweeds, kind of
Oregon
like.
Trail.
These are for people pushing the frontiers and stuff like
Well,
that.
people in the covered wagons, they explored the West, all that. So I did not think Frontier was a space theme. I thought it was really a kind of like Western theme. So, wow, what in the?
Sorry, that was me. But Star Trek,
I just think it's funny
Space,
how
the Final
AMD
Frontier.
keeps, crapping on their competitors, like with the motherboard numbers versus Intel, and now the Frontier Edition versus the Founders Edition. I just love how aggressive they're being with their naming.
Well, I do, but sometimes it does feel like Coming to America. Like that whole, McDowell scene. They got McDonald's, we've got McDowell's. They've got the Big Mac, we've got the Big Mick. Right? They've got 2 all beef patties on a sesame seed bun. We've got 2 buns without sesame seeds. So. It's just like, so like the chipset is like, everything. It's just like whatever they're doing, but we make it sound like we're better by one, right? So.
So yeah, it sounds like we're going to know more about Consumer Vega in some way. They said it's not going to be a hard launch that day at Computex. So hopefully we'll know more soon.
Well, I won't be on the ground at Computex.
Yeah,
so
that's like a week, right?
2 weeks from now.
Yeah, Gordon will be there live.
So maybe we'll actually get to see it. Maybe we'll try to use something live. I don't even know if they have
Enough internet.
if they have enough internet at this. So.
Yeah, we might be able to do something. We'll see. Yeah,
that'd be
we'll talk
interesting.
about it.
Of course, it would be on Taipei time, so it'd be like 4:00 in the morning here or something.
Well, actually, but Sai would love that, right? Because he's in
that's
Fiji,
true,
right?
yes.
I was just thinking of that.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's why he's a Radeon fan. They actually had a part named after where he's from, right? So.
Boom.
Boom. All right, so we clear on any Vega. Any more Vega issues we need to bring up besides that? I think it really should be a Western kind of themed card, but no outstanding questions.
No. I think we're pretty good. That covers it. One interesting bit from the AMA, they said that Kadori said that not only will the consumer versions have gaming optimized drivers, which he said some other goodies he can't talk about. So. Might be some new software or something baked in. We'll have to see. A couple of weeks.
I like that little LED in the card. I don't know. It's too bad we should have brought a picture of it. But if you look at the Frontier card, it's got that really neat little LED on the corner that lights up. It's kind of blingy too, I think. Which is nice. With gold accents.
Well, that's
Very
the trend these days, right?
Okay. Well, actually, I want to do. Let's all get.
I want a rose gold. I want a rose gold
God, why don't they
graphics
do
card.
that? Yeah, I'm waiting for the rose gold edition. I think. Because as a journalist, it is our job to just throw out crazy predictions and be wrong all the time for some reason. I think Vega, $500. Right? I think that's about the right price.
For what level of performance, though?
Well, for their 1080 card, it'll be but then
1080 or
NVIDIA's gonna
1080
respond.
Ti.
So it'll be between 1080 and 1080 Ti. I think the top end Vega will be $500, and then NVIDIA will cut the Ti to compete with it.
What did what's the 1080 at? What did they drop the 1080?
Well, it's
HBM2.
650.
That's
HBM2
TI.
costs a lot to make, man.
That's why I don't think
We'll
400
have
is
to see.
feasible. I just don't think 400's 400 is really tough. So
I wouldn't be surprised if they rolled out like a 1080, 1070 competitor, right? So, what's that, $380? If they do a Vega in that price point, I wouldn't be surprised if they pair that with GDDR5 rather than HBM2.
right. But I think the top end Vega, which is what everybody's excited about, will be 500. I think it makes a lot of sense. Anybody else want to get out there in that limb with me?
501.
I'm not countering you, dude. It depends on how fast it is.
Because the price is right.
Yeah.
Don't be a journalist. You're just supposed to just throw out crazy things and guesses. I'm saying $500. I'm gonna be right too.
Wait, but how much is the 1080?
1080 650.
No, that's the TI.
I mean
TI.
650 Ti. It's about 500 now.
1080 is
550.
$500. Yeah.
500 to 5. Yeah, it's a little.
I'm going to say 450. 450.
For Vega?
Yeah. I'll do that.
And now
I'll
with
do that.
HBM too. Can't happen. Can't be underwater right when
I'm
you
not
launch
on
it.
board with that prediction. I don't like that.
Brad does not want to.
Wait, you're not on board with any of the guessing, or just not on board with Adams?
Adams is getting kind of wild, I think.
Wow.
Especially for the
Thinking.
top end card, I don't think so.
Well, luckily I'm not a journalist, so I just throw numbers out there.
All right. Okay. And then Lane is not going to risk sounding dumb. So
Nope.
Well, I've already have so much paper to eat.
yeah, we still have to do
I
that
don't need
episode.
any more.
Reckoning of all our predictions episode.
I have a delicate stomach, remember?
All right, but okay, I'm going to move on. This is going to be an all AMD show practically, right? Next topic. Boom. Ryzen Threadripper.
Threadripper.
For
It sounds
anybody,
like you want to do it like over an electric guitar, right? Like, Threadripper! Like 80s style.
Wait, but is it officially called Ryzen Threadripper?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Ryzen Threadripper.
Nice.
And there were a lot of rumors that this would be called Ryzen 9, but it is apparently officially Ryzen Threadripper. I think they even confirmed that somewhere else today, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Which do you like better, Bulldozer or Threadripper for your AMD names?
well, Threadripper, because Bulldozer just has a lot of bad memories with it.
Oh,
because
okay. You can't disconnect the name.
Well, because at the time you're like, oh man, Bulldozer, this sounds like, heavy duty construction material, pushing giant, piles of dirt and kind of just crushing things. But it turned out it's like, well, we meant Bulldozer. We meant actually as fast as a bulldozer because it was like beep, beep, beep. And you do a handbrake encode, beep, beep, beep. Come on, right? I got this thing plugged in.
It's like a Tonka toy.
It was not. It was the Bulldozer was unfortunately not a shining moment for. Vishera actually did improve things, but Bulldozer was just kind of like, oh man. So I think Threadripper is definitely, and we already know what the performance of Ryzen is on everything but gaming, right? So it's pretty awesome as for those cores. But it is. I'm going to run down through all the rumors now. Okay, the actual confirmed information from Intel. Or gosh, Jesus, sorry.
Whoa. Off
team.
brand.
I almost
Off
called
brand.
it totally wrong brand there, and that would have been like there would have been a bolt of lightning. So AMD did confirm it is called Ryzen Threadripper, and the only actual factual information, because there's a lot of leaks. The actual information we know: 16 cores. SMT, a la AMD's version of hyper-threading, gives it 32 threads of compute power, and Threadripper. That's the only thing we know. That's actually only confirmed information. Now, there's plenty of other leaks, which should I go through?
That's the juicy part,
So
right?
That is the juicy part, but
Right.
Going off like what Intel charges for its 10 core part, this thing must be Threadripper is probably going to be $2,800 or something like that, right?
yeah, you would think so, right? Because
Only if they're
10
going-
core is
Only if they're
$1,720.
going by Intel pricing, which they're obviously not. Thank goodness for the rest of us.
Oh, wait, let me break through the other. So the other rumors, none of this is confirmed. There have been a lot of leaks. A lot of them look real. Because you've got charts, you've got a lot of official looking documentation. But I'm going to point out for everybody who believes that stuff is real, they didn't even get the damn name right. It is not Ryzen 9. It is Ryzen Threadripper. So
And that stuff can be easily faked too. So
yeah, it can be
anybody
faked.
can make a chart.
I've been making stuff up and just putting it on the internet myself just to get things going. But
Made a career out of it.
yeah, so it's gonna be a new chipset, a new socket. I think like 4,000 some odd pin count. X399 chipset, I think, right? That's what they're saying. And it will be
That's what the rumor is.
wait, sorry.
Yes, that's what the rumor is.
Yeah, that's the rumor. And also, supposedly, the rumors are, which I believe because it's very similar to Naples, it will be a quad channel memory part. So it'll have 4 channels instead of 2 channels and 44 PCIe lanes. So essentially, this is their competition to Intel's current. I can't even get the company straight today. The company's Intel's X99 platform. Broadwell E, Haswell E, all that stuff. So this competes with that right now, and a crap load of cores.
It's interesting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Elena.
Oh, I was gonna say, wasn't there something about like a window for release too? Like it's supposed to be like the rumor was like what late June or
they did say
I think
this.
AMD said this summer in the stream.
Yeah, they said this summer, right? Okay, yeah, that's right. It'll be this summer. Those are 4 things they said. So that's the only actual information we know, other than
just like
rumors.
Vega, more at Computex.
Yeah, more Computex, but they do expect. The rumors say there will be 10 core, 8 core on up, 14 core versions of it. So I forget. Looks like it could be a monster. Clearly, if you are into multi-threaded tasks. So.
It's pretty interesting to me because this is the high-end desktop part designed to compete against Intel's high-end desktop parts, right?
Right.
But really, the Ryzen 7 series already is that, right? Because they start at 330. They have fewer PCIe lanes,
right?
But for a sheer number of cores and stuff, the Ryzen 7 already competes pretty well against the Intel high-end parts. So it's going to be really interesting to see what a 16-core freaking CPU can do. What do you even need 16 cores in a CPU for?
Everything.
we're talking. This is the video guy right here. I'm sure. Look at his face.
I'll take all.
Look
the
at
cores.
his face. He can make use of them.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, when I reviewed Broadwell E, 10 core, it was a stretch to find things that could really exploit all those cores. Interestingly, even Premiere.
Yeah.
I could do Premiere and Handbrake and Cinebench and this at the same time, and it would be like, because you were looking at, those 20 threads of computing. This thing will have 30, what?
32.
32. Holy smokes.
It's nuts.
That is nuts.
So
exciting, though.
Daniel in YouTube's asking,
Love it.
What's the TDP?
So the TDP is not released, but I think the top end part is like 185, they're saying. It's not.
Ryzen's pretty good.
but Ryzen is
the
good.
Ryzen 7 chips have pretty good power efficiency. So
right, and I think generally that's sort of worst case scenario, but it's definitely a lot of heat generated by it.
Is that better or worse than Broadwell E?
Yeah, well, technically it's worse. I think Broadwell E is 140. So Intel is also worst case scenario, but that is 10 cores versus 16 cores.
True.
And we really don't know what the final clocks are on Threadripper. That will be the interesting thing, because when you're looking at these really, really high CPU core count parts, they really got to balance frequency versus core count, because you could get a Xeon with 18 cores or 14 cores right now on eBay for $300. Those things are they're awesome at multi-threaded tasks, but they're like their top end turbo is like 2.4 gigahertz. So you really in gaming, that's just you don't have the clock speeds, and for a lot of gaming, they really sort of like clock speeds. And one thing they did with Broadwell E and Turbo Boost Max is, one core will run up at super high clock speeds. So there's one thing that Intel recognizes with Broadwell E, and I'm sure AMD recognizes with Threadripper 2. They have to sort of balance, give you all the cores, all the threads you want, and give you reasonable clock speeds, because the vast majority of things consumers do really need high clock speeds.
The interesting thing that I saw, I was looking at rumors as well. And again, they're rumors. Who knows? Anybody can write anything. But the rumors that I saw suggested that Threadripper speeds will be pretty much up there with Ryzen 7 kind of speeds, up there pushing 3.5,
right? Maybe
even higher, which would be really interesting, because you don't see that in the high-end Intel parts.
Yeah, although Intel does play it very safe on Broadwell E. They don't really have it, but pretty much Broadwell E, it's for the most part people are hitting low 4s. So they, but not from factory. So right.
No, I have the 5960X here. So the 8-core one, the one that was the first 8-core chip, and it comes out of the box at 3 gigahertz.
Yeah,
and you can pump that up. I got that up over 4 actually.
Yeah, those Haswell E's were pretty much solid. 4 or 5 parts, a lot of them, if you had good enough cooling.
It's actually what I'm using on the streaming box here, which funny enough, Jimmy in YouTube's asking if I'm going to switch this streaming machine to Threadripper, and recently there was an update to enable GPU acceleration, so the threads haven't been hidden too hard over here. We're sitting at 25%, so on the 8-core machine, so not too bad. I don't see a need to bump it up. for this stuff. But also, Five Basher is asking, what do you guys think about cooler support, considering how huge the actual chipset's going to be, or not chipset,
how high the TDP is.
Yeah.
At that point, I mean, it does seem like, and do remember they're going to be lower core count parts. So, like I think the rumors are like 160, 140, some, more reasonable TDP. But for the most part, I would think CLC at that point, once you're sort of like up there, you might as well just run a CLC because.
Like if you look at Intel's platform, they have, the mainstream stuff, and then they have X99. And, cooler makers just ship brackets for both. And if Threadripper ends up being popular, I think it'll be the same thing. They'll include AM4 and they'll include whatever Threadripper uses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you will get a bracket for it when it'll be supported. But I'm just kind of thinking, like, does it even make sense to try to go for air cooling at that point, if you're looking at the highest end part? Because some of those Wraith coolers, they got a little noticeable, right? Once you crank the clocks up.
I would doubt they would ship Wraith on something like Threadripper.
Right. Well, they could come out with a Wraith for a higher end one.
I don't hate air coolers. Like I have the Cryo Rig R1 Ultimate or whatever over here, and it's massive, but it works just as well as a closed loop cooler, and it's cheaper. So I don't hate on air coolers.
Yeah, I mean it is higher end, but I mean, these parts are going to be more affordable than anything Intel's been putting out. So you're going to be in a slightly, I think, different audience that are still going to be a bit cost conscious.
Well, you're probably not going to try to put this in a small form factor machine, right?
I would love to.
I know.
But cooling, right?
Bad.
I mean,
I remember I had that.
I mean, you can do some pretty cool setups.
I guess. Yeah.
I had that Tiki. I had an 18-core. They were Broadwell based, 18-core Tiki, remember? And that thing this is a Falcon Northwest Tiki, which is a micro tower, and it had 18 cores.
Yeah, that's one's like that wide.
Yeah, and it was the size of, basically an original Xbox or, PS4, PS3. So, but I'm like, as far as the air cooling versus water, I don't hate air coolers, but I think they're pretty irrelevant at this point. I mean, you either go stock because it's free, then you go to Hyper 212 because it's $25. From there on, I just can't see investing in an air cooler at that point. I just say just go CLC at that point. It makes too much sense.
A good air cooler will last you forever. You have no idea how long CLCs will last. If you invest in something like, those high-end Noctuas and stuff like that, they're quiet, they're cool, they're great. I love the look of a big aggressive cooler.
Yeah, I love swapping the RAM out too. The great big gigantic dual fan Noctua, and I mean they're works of art. I mean they are just beautiful, but they are sort of like
pain in the butt sometimes.
They're a major pain, and they do seem like a relic of like 1600 watt power supplies. It's like, yeah, it's nice, but you don't need it. So not anymore. It's just kind of a strange relic. Actually, I do want to correct one thing. Not necessarily correcting, because I know this will create an argument with one person already that we've had a discussion about the PCIe count in Z270 versus Ryzen 7, Ryzen 5. Is it X370?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he argues that they basically have the exact same PCIe, and I say that it's sort of, because I mean it's really 24 out of both, because they send some to the chipset, the Southbridge. But my argument, and I do think it's not really fair to say that, because Z270 you're still getting 24 PCIe 3 lanes in the chipset itself. Now, yes, you are massively bottlenecked getting to the CPU, but if you're a board maker, you can make a board with crap loads of USB 3.1 10 gig and crap loads of M.2 drive and all PCIe slots, all of them hot. And if you don't have those PCIe lanes and it's limited, like say a Z97, that if you remember, you like, hey, you have to read the motherboard manual, and it would say if you put an M.2 card in, slot 5 stops working. So you don't have to deal with that, and that is really what is better about having more PCIe lanes. Yes, theoretically they're the same, but they're not the same, because one board you can have just crap loads of stuff populated on the board without turning things off just to populate those slots. So I just wanted to say that.
What I'm looking for, the 16 cores is ridiculous. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that does. But that's the thing I'm looking forward to in the Threadripper platform, the more PCIe lanes, because that's like the one kind of knock you can give against like the 1800X and the 1700 and stuff like that.
No, and I totally agree with you because it was in a weird spot too because people are like 1800X, man, that goes right up against X99, but like X99's got like 40 PCIe lanes if you buy the $500 and up CPU, and you've got it's just a beefier everything. But the CPUs were pretty much the same performance, but the chipset was kind of limited. But I guess what this is, Threadripper really is the part that competes with X99. So I mean, just that sort of fixes that.
Are we going to do pricing guesses? Because I think that'd be a fun way to do pricing guesses on.
Should we do it now or after the next topic?
Well, I do.
No, we talk about now.
Well, and
let's do it now. Yeah, it's a good segue.
I do have a couple more questions too. Daniel's asking, could this chipset allow dual CPUs?
I don't think Threadripper allows 2P because that is the one no that you cannot do. And same thing with Core i7. Even though for the most part, and there are nuances to it, and the Core i7 people disagree with me when I say this, but for the most part, it's a Xeon. But a Xeon, most of them, real Xeons, you can run 2P, right? So 2 processors, so multiprocessor. They turn that off in Core i7 because it's like, you want 2P, go buy Xeon,
Yeah. That's not a normal use case.
Yeah, AMD is not doing that, although I think AMD is leaving in support for ECC RAM, which Intel turns off. Intel likes to make, you want professional workstation class stuff? Buy Xeon. AMD seems to be a lot looser with it right now because they got nothing to lose.
And Flames Tornado is asking, why isn't there any 3 to 4 PCIe by 16 lanes on AM4 motherboards?
I'm sorry, say again?
Why aren't there any motherboards with 3 to 4 PCIe by 16 lanes?
I don't. You mean a board with full 3 by 6? Because there's just not enough. There's for X370, there's just not enough PCIe to go around. It's very much, like Kaby Lake, Skylake, Haswell. There's a single. There's 16 lanes of by 3, and that's all you get for the GPU. So they have to split that up.
Also, Sai says that you should try Revin air coolers. He's pretty impressed by them. So
yeah, I'm sure they're beautiful. Air coolers, like God, there should be a museum. I will say there will never be a museum of like, oh man, look at this CLC cooler because the CLC looks like a HVAC unit, right? But you like some of those. We should like get some of those, and you get the air coolers. They're just beautiful, just like they're works of art. Some of them, right?
But you don't want them in your rig.
But what? Yeah, it's like, oh, it's so beautiful. All the sharp edges on them too is what I remember, and then like, oh yeah, the best thing is like. It's this big, and I got to get to the bracket under here, and you're like trying to get it onto the motherboard or off of the motherboard in your case, and you can't. No, but they are beautiful, absolutely works of art. There's just some, like and I gotta say, like when we e-waste everything in 5 years, like the only thing you save are the beautiful air coolers because you're going to put them on a shelf or something. Look at that. That's just like. I still think back to some of the early P4 air coolers. There was a company, is it AVC? I can't think of their name, but they made some beautiful P4 coolers. And they had those, everybody's was just square blocks, and theirs was rounded, and they had these bent fins, and it was just beautiful. So
I forget who did it, but there's one that did like a copper. It looked like a seashell almost kind of a deal. I love those exotic air coolers, man.
Oh, yeah.
It was, I believe it was passive.
Oh, was it?
Oh.
I think.
Yeah, see, especially the passive ones. So.
Yeah, it was just giant bronze seashell kind of looking thing. It's just like
it works
I love
of
that
art.
stuff.
But again, sorry, irrelevant in my book. They're
There's
relics.
no room in your life for art.
Yeah, I guess.
Have you seen his desk?
There's
no art on that.
There's no art. There's no art. None unless my kids make it. But there is something to be said for actually, like having one. I guess I could see that if you have an open air rig or have a beautiful windows, like actually an air cooler does look nicer, especially one that's just, beautiful. But it's so much metal just to basically get the same performance as a CLC. It's just like, and then wouldn't you just go custom at that point?
Man, nobody goes custom. Aside from the 0.1% dude.
There are people that go custom. You can have a business where you just like hire somebody. They get a Southwest flight. They come out. They're like, okay. They have their bag of parts and they cool your system for you, do the plumbing right, and like, oh, Yeah,
Actually, I
agree.
just bought a new case for a system I'm going to be building this year, and I specifically got one that has big enough because I really want to build hardline cooling because that stuff is just so sweet, so nice looking.
Yeah,
So pretty.
that's the other thing too. Is like it used to be you could just run the flexible tube, which is like okay, that's cool, but now it's like no, now you got to do the hard line. That's like. And then now it's like plumbing. They're actually like people who are like, yeah, we got copper, and they're like, you're like with the propane torch and you're brazing the line. It's just like I don't have that time. No, you know what we didn't get is Brad wanted us to put it on the line. Let's just put it on the line.
Now he wants to.
Do you want to do it? Put on
he
the
didn't
line.
want to do it for Vega, but now he wants
Yeah,
to.
let's go.
Oh yeah, you're right. See, he doesn't want to compromise himself on Vega because he'll be covering that. But like,
Well, you have no idea. You can kind of get an idea for this because you already know where the Ryzen 7 sits, right?
all right. So I'm gonna guess 16 core Threadripper, $1,000.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
See, that's why I said it
Double
first.
exactly the 1800X.
Yeah, I think so. It makes sense.
And Intel's going to be like,
Yeah, what is Intel going to do? Wait, you guys want to come on?
I mean,
Adam Mose likes guessing.
prices.
Elena is like tied in with money here, so she knows. She knows the prices of everything.
I actually tend to know the prices, the sale prices of things. I don't really pay attention to list price, because to me that's like the opening for the conversation. There's always room to negotiate it down. Why would you start there?
Yeah, you should take the briefing for it. They'll be like, and Threadripper 16 core, Elena, it's gonna be $1,000. And she'll be like, well, wait, how about $699? What?
No, I was be like, well, all right about that one. It's 800.
Yeah, she'll be trying to negotiate the price down. So for everyone.
I'm going to go
wouldn't
with...
that be wild though if it's $1,000 for 16 cores? That's ridiculous. I mean, it's been a few days, so we're all used to it now. But when I heard that, I'm like, there's going to be a 16 core CPU coming out for consumers, which is wild. And there's a very real chance it could be $1,000, which considering that's what you pay for an 8 core part for Intel at this point, that's just insane.
Right.
Would you still like it as much if it was like 1,200?
Yes. Not as much, obviously. $200 more is $200 more, but
But you'd feel okay because you'd be like 10 core, $1,700 versus 16 cores for $1,200. I'll take it.
Yeah,
Plus 4 more cores.
that's my guess. I'm going to say 1,250. I'm going to go up a little higher.
Oh, you went the other
A little bit
direction
of
this
margin.
time.
Yeah, usually I undercut. I'm going higher this time. I think, but between the 8 and the 10 for Intel, I mean, yeah, that's 1,250.
I was a doubter before Ryzen came out. You remember I was the one going, no way it's going to be below $750, and they went in there with $500 for the Ryzen 7. So I'm going to guess they're just going to double it for this too. Just looking to kick ass and take names.
Sorry, I tried to breathe some water.
That's not a good idea, Gordon.
We haven't changed biologically, so that's not advised.
Well, actually, Daniel in YouTube.
Water cooling strikes back.
You used air.
We have a lot of people in YouTube giving their take. Everyone would love $1,000. That would be nice. But we got a couple people saying 700. A couple people saying 1,000. Flames Tornado says 600 to 700.
How do you justify 700 though? Realistically, how would you justify it?
I don't think they would go less than 1,000 because the 18 for the flagship model I'm talking, because the 1800X is $500, and this is twice that. I don't think they would. If anything, they would add more cost to it, not take away cost from it. I think $1,000 is probably the realistic floor for.
Right, because they have so much wiggle room currently, given Intel's pricing, that they could price this as, Adam thinks, it like, what, 1,300 almost? And they can still say, like, hey, look, you've got 6 more cores.
But if you look at their slide, like if you look at the Threadripper slide that they put up, it said up to 16 cores, 32 threads. So wouldn't it be wild if for $800 we get a 12-core part?
Yeah.
I mean, that would still be pretty awesome.
I think it's entirely reasonable too, because if they really do a 16, 14, 12, 10, whatever, but
yeah,
I could see that. That's not, that'd be nuts, wouldn't it? $800 for 12 cores.
And it makes it kind of impossible for them to price it below 1,000, because then you're basically squishing all of those other SKUs into this like really narrow band that you can price it at.
Yeah. Although, it's crazy. We're sort of there now already, because it's like Ryzen 1700. It's $350, right? That's like 8-core CPU, lower clocks than an 8-core Intel part, but it's like a third the price. So how do you argue with that? Oh wait, did you guess? Wait, you didn't guess.
I mean, in a roundabout way.
I say $299.
She'll find it for even cheaper. Don't worry.
I actually think. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next segment, which would change my answer. But given what we know right now, right, like that the 10-core is $1,700, I think that AMD could go at $1,100. So it doesn't seem too high above that floor we're all talking about. But this gives them a little chance to drop the price if they need to later. And it also gives them a chance to make a little money.
Yeah, make an extra $100.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can go so deep in this conversation. The whole thing with their quarterly results, right? They were saying they don't expect to have crazy increase in profit for the rest of the year, which leads me to believe they're still going to be pretty aggressive on this Threadripper stuff. So just interested.
Well, here's we got some good speculation from ZR1 Gamer. He says 700 for 10 core, 1,000 for 12, 1,200 for 14, and 1,500 for 16 cores. And he says, let me scroll up. AMD can technically charge more if they can beat Intel. I think Threadripper is Sledgehammer all over again.
I don't know. Sledgehammer. Yeah, did it? Yeah, we'll see, right? And I guess that this should actually take us to the next topic.
Here we go.
Boom, boom, boom. Boom. Right. Core i9, right? Which, of course, we don't even know if that's what it's called, but that's what everybody's calling it. On the internets, the rumor mills are calling Intel's next generation high-end desktop part the Core i9, better known as Skylake X, or as some of the Google Translate has called it, the Google Translate of the rumor mills have called it Toothpaste Factory.
Toothpaste Factory? What?
Toothpaste Factory?
Please explain.
That is some inside joke that I obviously am not part of.
Well, it was because about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, there was, one of one of the sites out of Asia had said basically outed the parts list and the prices and all the specs, and the only way we could read it was using Google Translate, and instead of the platform is called Basin Falls on the X299 chipset. But the Google Translate called it the Intel Toothpaste Factory.
I kind of like it.
So I asked Intel if, can you confirm whether Toothpaste Factory is coming out? And they're like, we have no idea what you're talking about.
It sounds like something you'd ask them.
Well, you got it.
Who gave you this number?
What? Toothpaste Factory. Oh, my God. They've discovered the code name, sir. But that's crazy. Toothpaste Factory.
That's pretty good.
That makes no sense. It's not named after a river or a lake or something. It's it's a toothpaste factory. Colgate.
I like
Gets
that.
the job done.
What are the other one? Aquafresh. That's the new. All the new code names after. Yeah, I'm sure the toothpaste companies would like that. But so Core i9 is Intel's response to Ryzen. Apparently, it's been cooking up. It's actually been cooking up for ever since because AMD's been pushing Ryzen now for 8 months. And Intel's response apparently has been, we've talked about it before, Skylake X is also what it's called, right? And that is basically, it's a new high-end desktop platform based on the Skylake cores, although they are slightly different Skylake cores, and I'll get to that in a minute. And
these are all rumors still.
These are all rumors. We know absolutely nothing about
Yes.
what's going to happen, and except that it is officially called Toothpaste Factory. I think I need to know that.
Project Colgate.
Project Colgate.
Minty fresh.
And now, of course, we've just been talking about AMD's core count, and here's what Intel's going to give you. I want some reaction here, and I'm sure everybody knows, but the top-end Core i9 will be a 12-core part with hyperthreading, so 24 threads, 1224 on the Skylake cores. 40 PCIe lanes, X299 chipset, quad-channel, DDR4, of course. Nobody's impressed.
Well, so that's the thing, right? When you come out and you say 16 cores, 32 threads, 12 kind of sounds not as exciting anymore, which is, I think it's unfair to Intel for me to say that, but that's the emotional response I have.
The problem for me, and it'll probably change because of Threadripper and Ryzen, But it's hard for me to get super excited because of how much they charge for that 10-core chip. Like when they charge $1,700 for that 10-core chip,
1723.
Yeah, it just is like, man, are you serious? And so I'm naturally kind of leery of whatever we're talking about here because that was a bit excessive.
Well, Brad, I mean, with Threadripper officially announced, that means there is competition. So, I mean, that is going to keep Intel from being able to charge truly whatever they want like they have in the past. So does that change how you feel about it at all?
Not yet. Intel hasn't changed anything in response to Ryzen yet. So
It's true.
Yeah, I was going to mention that they've been saying that in the chat that they haven't really responded to Ryzen.
No, I read many stories on the internet that said Intel has slashed prices.
Oh, slashed?
Yeah, slashed prices.
You forgot the little asterisk.
So a little asterisk is like, yeah.
When you walk in store to Micro Center because they're having one of their deals, that is slashing prices.
Right, and the crazy thing, and I'm just talking crap here because websites said they cut prices and they didn't. They basically the 8-core, so the 10-core part went from $1,723 list price. It launched at about $16.99 or something, and I think now it's down to like $16.50. So the price of it has gone down like $25
left and right,
and none of the other parts have gone down as well. Although Kaby Lake, I gotta say, remember when Skylake, when Skylake first came out, you could not find it. Even we're talking OEM, no cooler, you couldn't find the damn thing for less than $350. And then now Kaby Lake, its equivalent is. I was down at Central and they had it for like $290 or something like. So it's actually gotten a little more reasonable. But I don't think that's any actual price.
No, it's usually, it's a retailer thing. It's pretty common for like each generation. The i7 will like drop to about like $290, $300 during a good sale.
Yeah. So there have been no. So that's why. So you just think. So what you think? You think Toothpaste Factory is going to come in at like $1,900 or something like that?
I wouldn't be surprised if the 12-core part is $1,700.
Yeah.
Like it maintains the same pricing, but it just adds 2 extra cores to the top level one.
Man, you really think they could do that though? If like, say our predictions about Threadripper are correct, do you think they really could get away with that?
I think it's going to be really interesting to see, assuming these Intel parts are real, who launches what first and what the response to that's going to be.
Well, also, I think they can get away with it also because E. Lopez 580, the next RX card coming out, says that Intel doesn't need to drop prices until inventory does not move. So, I mean, if they're selling, well, like they don't need to necessarily compete on price if they're still selling what they're selling.
Yeah, but I gotta say,
especially for these high-end parts where they're probably not selling a ton anyway.
Yeah, it's a very small percentage, but these are the Halo parts, and a lot of people judge oddly Chevrolet on how how fast the Corvette is, or I think it's tough for them not to have to compete on price with AMD, and I do as much as prices have not been cut. I would be surprised.
They've been slashed. They've not been cut. They've been slashed.
I think when Core i9, whatever it comes out as, when it comes out, I think we will competition returning to the market as far as price.
$1,500. You guys have convinced me. I'll bring it down to $1,700.
So you've gone from $1,700 to $1,500 already.
It's still a drop. So,
which I think, but it's to 2 extra cores, but I don't think they're going to drop things too crazily. I think part of the reason they priced the 10-core part so incredibly insanely high is so they do have some wiggle room this time around because they knew Ryzen was coming.
Yeah. But 1,500 still seems like.
I'm going to go with Brad's original prediction and say 1,700. So, because then it lets them drop the 10-core, slot in that 12 right at that same price. Keep going.
All right, I'm gonna say because I'm gonna say it before Elena does because I know she's gonna lowball this.
Gordon was right on the Ryzen prices. So
I'm gonna say 12 core i9, and of course, by the way, I just want to bring this up. We don't know if it's called Core i9, and everybody thought the original Gulftown 6-core part was called Core i9. In fact, PC World wrote a story back then calling it Core i9 because everybody said it was called Core i9. Came out as Core i7. I think the 12-core Skylake X part is going to be $999. $1,000, and I think it's going to go head to head with 16 core $1,000.
Are you?
They're 12.
Are you willing to eat some paper on this?
Sure. Yeah, I haven't eaten the other stuff. I think it's Intel's like, look, you know what? I know that things are still selling. Probably fine as far as the high end goes, but the higher the price, a lot of people are looking at Ryzen. People are building Ryzen. People are building AMD systems that never would have built AMD systems before Ryzen showed up.
Hey,
So there are vendors offering.
I'm one of them.
You're one of them. There are people offering, OEMs offering Ryzen-based systems that never would have offered it before, right? So, I think yesterday or their financial analysts, they said that like top 5 OEMs have Ryzen-based boxes, and these are not. Typically your Ryzen machines or your AMD machines are like, $299 clearance boxes, but these are not. These are high-end kind of gaming boxes that people are selling. So I think if Intel wants to stay competitive with AMD, they have to cut prices, and I think they will. I really see 1,000 from both of them, which gives them room for the 10, 8, 6 parts, right? So they can fill in that.
But that means
return to the pricing cap that it was before the 10 core part, basically.
Yeah,
because it used to be $1,000 would get you the latest, the best.
Right.
Yeah, but then what? The 10 core is what? 900, 850, 800.
Yeah, so they'll just shave off, 100.
But that's like $1,000 almost off. Like that's
between
going
from
1,700 to
competition is good for the market.
Well,
that's a huge cut.
Hopefully they listen to Full Nerds 2016 Best CPU Award, where it went to not applicable because of that damn price.
Oh man!
All right,
that's one of our highest listened to episodes on SoundCloud.
All right, so Gordon, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is your prediction based on the idea that whenever Skylake X comes out, it would be coming out at the same time as Threadripper? Or is that... Because I feel like, so for my prediction, I actually feel like it's really based on timing.
Yeah.
Right? So if Skylake X comes out first, Intel has no reason to drop their prices that dramatically. And I would be more in Brad's camp, where I'm like, maybe they'd come down just a little bit to kind of acknowledge that Ryzen's popular, people are buying it, but they don't need to like severely drop anything just yet, because there's nothing that's really going to compete with their 12 core.
All right, so what do you...
But if Threadripper comes out first, then I could see Intel having to be much more aggressive about pulling that price down into a more acceptable range.
Okay, so the rumors say Intel will launch first this summer at an event, which we could guess is, one of the summer tech events. That's the rumor. So they will probably beat Threadripper out the door.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then I don't really see the price coming down too heavy just yet then.
You haven't put a price down, though.
The thing,
I'm about to.
The thing with Intel is they won't slash prices after they launch it. So if they're going to get aggressive, they'd probably do it right out of the gate.
1,400.
For the 12 core.
Yeah.
Core i9, Core /Core i7.
We gotta do this as a Price is Right game show at some point. I swear.
Yeah, we need buttons.
Yeah, we need to do it. Come on down.
Yeah.
1,000, 1,400,
1,700. Yep.
1,500 for Core i9, 12 core. So, I just think, I think my rationale is they got these other parts. They can't get too aggressive. They can't make it a $700 CPU, because then they sort of yeah. Go ahead.
Their investors expect certain profit margins at this point too.
Plus, they have a lot of parts that they have to worry about. And one thing I do want to bring up here. So the rumors are not only will the new X299 platform support Skylake X with 10, 8, 10, 12 core parts, it will also support a new CPU called Kaby Lake X, which as the name implies, it's going to be based on the Kaby Lake core, will be a quad core, and interestingly, it will have a dual channel memory controller. So if you slot in a Kaby Lake chip, you get dual channel. If you slot in a Skylake X chip, you get quad channel.
So this is going to be a big socketed Kaby Lake?
Well,
why would you buy a quad core? Why would you buy a quad core Extreme Edition part?
Yeah.
Well, so this actually goes back to a conversation we had about a year ago, where the rumors were that Intel would eliminate the small socket, right? So our current Z270 115X, right? That sort of like that whole socket would go away, and then they would just reunify everybody around one socket. And I remember,
AMD's doing.
Like AMD's done, right? Because they just, although I got to say,
Threadripper is probably going to do.
Threadripper is it's a different socket, so you really can't support. So they do have two on Threadripper. They have a big, they have a small. Intel has a big and small, but they're interestingly going to offer Kaby Lake in this big socket.
So they're going to move. So are you saying they're going to move the i7s up into the big socket then, and just leave it there, but they'll keep everything else on the small socket?
Well, so the rumors would be that they would just go to one socket and
period. So
and
even like your Celerons and your Pentiums?
Yeah, so I just believe that. I just don't think that makes sense because it's an expensive, everything is just more expensive on that. So it doesn't make sense. But what I can honestly see as we are now 1 year later and we have more information, what I can see is Intel saying, okay, you're an enthusiast, go X299, right? These are where you get your unlock parts. This is where you get all your overclocking features, all the fun stuff. You want to build a POS, Pentium G Celeron F, build the little cheap socket with the, the $30 motherboard. So I sort of see all the enthusiast, unlock parts that are right now in the small socket. That will be, you got to go play with it in the big sandbox. So.
That's going to kind of hurt though, because that's pushing all your prices up for everything.
Yeah, it'll be pricier for that. So, but
that's the reason I don't think that Intel's going to be $1,000 for the 12-core chip, assuming that happens as I keep, hedging, because they have a whole stack of parts. Like I think you were starting to say, and if they price this too aggressively, it's going to mess up their whole product lineup, isn't it?
Yeah, but when they introduce the new stuff, the older stuff will go away. I'm sure the older Broadwell X99 stuff's going to vanish rapidly. So it is a problem. They have to slot everything in there, but I think they can. I just think they can't come out at $1,500 or $1,700 and then Threadripper shows up for $1,000 and then they got
it would be pretty nuts. Like you go to Origin PC or Falcon Northwest and you're configuring your PC or whatever, and you have the option to upgrade to a 16-core AMD part for $1,000 or a 12-core Intel part for $1,500. That's you'd be like, I'm going to take that 16-core part.
Yeah. But there's still a lot of, Intel's name is still, gold to a lot of people. So they have a lot of brand loyalty. And a lot of people still don't really believe that Ryzen is what it is. So,
yeah. I think that makes me just to, meander a little bit more. It's so hard not to cuss on the air, by the way. People all know how much restraint it takes.
Yes. Good job.
But thank you. But I think a lot of the weaknesses and strengths that are for Ryzen, right? It's really strong in productivity. Its weakness was 1080p gaming. I think a lot of those make Threadripper potentially a stronger part because it'll be even stronger at productivity. And realistically, I don't usually buy into these arguments, but if you're buying a 16-core CPU, if you're looking to game, you're probably gaming at 4K or 1440p with a high-end card, which would reduce the gaming aspect. So,
yeah. Yeah, and I very much think this is the kind of platform for people who, they do work and they play games. So they work hard, they play hard.
Oh, there's your tagline right there.
And then one thing I do want to bring up, I'm just going to jam this in here, just so people know it's on the record. So Skylake EP, which is the part that's going to be used, it's the Xeon cores. It does have AVX 512. So
yeah,
So that is a different. It's not because with Broadwell E, it was just Broadwell cores jammed into a bigger socket, right, and more of them. The Skylake will actually use a different actual core that will bring AVX 512 out, and it's wider, more registers, and every time, and I could reference it at the Sysoft Sandra. They had a blog about moving every time we move up from AVX2, you get like 70 to 120% performance improvement. So, and I can almost predict this is what's going to happen with Intel will be saying, look at our performance in this application that supports AVX 512. And it will be like, damn, right? But of course,
that's what AMD does with Ryzen parts for productivity, right? They're like, look, we beat the Core i5 by 300% and this
Cinebench
thing that can use
or
it.
Something.
Yeah.
But AVX 512, it does you do have to have application support for it. So if you don't have it, it's not going to be there. But I think there's a good chance on AVX 512, it's going to be a monster. Non-AVX 512, 16 beats 12, so it's pretty hard to argue with that.
I am very much looking forward to the full nerd after Computex.
Yes.
Let me just say that.
Well, also because then there's E3 as well, so lots of games, lots of hardware.
Way too much to catch up.
Too
on.
much.
Oh wait, and you know what? I do want to. There's a question I want to because I'm going to be timely about the emails that get sent to the.
Wait, are we going to the Q&A?
We're gonna do Q&A, reader Q&A.
All right, here we go.
First one, Bryce Jones. Bryce says, "I've been listening since episode 1. Hey, expect your $5 in the mail. I'm making that up. You will not get $5 in the mail. Love the show on the site. Appreciate an insight, you guys. I do have a question about coil wine. I built my first PC in a long time. PC thanks you. Late last year, Asus Z170 Pro Gaming R motherboard, 1070 dual. GTX 1070 dual GPU, EVGA Supernova 750B1 PSU, and I've been plagued with GPU coil wine. Only during gaming, and worse during very high frame rate cutscenes, menus, benchmarks, and things of that nature. I have tried the following: isolated the noise to the GPU. I've changed power strips, PSU cable to the wall, changing physical location circuits. I do live in an older house built in the 1950s. Reverted to default BIOS configs. I have not attempted to update the BIOS or any extensive component swapping, reseating. What are the actual causes of coil wine? My research indicates it's power source, PSU GPU combo, mobile components, CPU cooler, and other fan interference. Can anything be done to resolve this other than to RMA it, or just wear headphones?
So coil wine sucks. It's typically your GPU. It can also be your power supply. I guess it can be other parts as well, but that's pretty rare. You can't really do anything about it, unless it's super excessive. Manufacturers won't accept returns on that. They won't swap it out for you unless it's particularly noticeable. So you're pretty much stuck with it. One thing I would suggest doing is actually swapping out some parts. If you have 2 GPUs and a new power supply, just kind of taking things out, starting it up you got to identify which part's actually doing it, because it could be any of those. And then if it's really driving you crazy and you don't want to use headphones, maybe you could sell the part on Craigslist or something, recoup most of the cost and get a new one. You're kind of stuck with it unless it's excessive.
Huh. They don't, you just can't complain and they'll swap.
You can try. Why not, right? Once you can figure out what the part actually is, you can call whichever, I forget which vendor you said, and whoever supplied your graphics card and say, hey man, I just bought 2 of these and this one's all messed up. I mean, who knows? If you're spending that much money, there's a good chance they'd say, hey, we'll swap it out, maybe charge you $50 or something. Who knows? But for the most part, you're often stuck with it. But
could he do, remember he's running 1070s in SLI.
Yep.
Should he disable one of them and then see if it's one card is worse than the other? I think that's worth it.
That would
worth
work.
A shot.
That would work for testing. You gotta figure out which one it is. It would probably be one of them.
Yeah.
If it's excessive.
So maybe if one's really bad, then he could go back to EVGA and say, hey, this one's just this one. Actually, he didn't say who sold him the cards, but he could just say, this one's bad, the other one's fine. Can I RMA this one, or you guys can swap out the power?
Once you can figure out what the part is, never hurts to ask. But don't necessarily go in expecting results. But if you make a lot of noise and you make the case that, look, I just dropped $700 on 2 of these things or whatever, then there's a good if they have a good support team, then you would hope that they would swap the parts out.
Another thing, too, is that sometimes the first person you try, when you talk to them, may be very by the book and say, I can't help you. So it also doesn't hurt to try a couple of times, maybe even 3, just to see if you get someone who's sympathetic to your case.
That's true. Especially, I think the fact that he has multiple of them helps. Because you can say, look, man, I just bought 2 of these in 2 years. I'm going to upgrade to 2 more cards. I would love it to be you guys again. But if you guys don't resolve this for me, then there's no way I'd be able to spend another $1,000 on you in 2 more years.
Right.
The 2 years after that.
Yeah, it makes him a lifetime customer if they treat him right. So.
Yep. And a lifetime enemy if not.
Yeah. Power supply out. Of course, unless you've got a pile of power supplies, it's probably not worth it.
Start with the GPUs, especially if you got 2 of them. That's it 90% of the time. And there's no way to fix it yourself. no reasonable way. You could theoretically like bust it open and add weird things to electric coils, but you don't want to do that.
Right. And he did say BIOS update, and I assume he means the BIOS in the card, not the BIOS in the motherboard. Do you think it's... Have you ever seen a BIOS update fix?
None of that.
No.
No software will make a difference. Nothing's going to make a difference. It is what it is. So hopefully you can swap it out. And if not, I mean, used NVIDIA parts typically sell for pretty well secondhand still. So, yeah. I mean, if worst comes to worst, you could theoretically sell it and spend, get 4/5 of your money back and spend a little bit extra to get another one.
Yeah. So it sounds like the best thing is to go back to the vendor. Well, I think I would try seeing if one card is bad and then go back to the vendor and say, yeah, like you said,
yeah,
you'll make me a lifetime customer if you do this. Do it right? So.
Mm-hmm. Before we go any further, I want to say in the chat in any of your questions you have for these guys right now. We'll be reading them. I'm kind of collecting them on this side. And then also, I just want to say there's a couple people saying that it's a little weird that both you guys have red shirts on.
Oh, people did notice.
They did notice.
They were actually talking about this before we started the show.
Yeah, I think you might have been found out, guys.
I think. Well, I was going to say I should change this shirt to a blue shirt. But I didn't do it. And then maybe what we should do is start like I can wear blue, Elena can wear yellow. And you could wear like a really bright primary color shirt too. And then people think they've tuned into a kid show.
Well, they're specifically saying you guys are on Team Red. You're paid off by AMD. So that's what they're saying.
That's all contraire, my friend. Red is not AMD's color anymore. Is it? No.
It is for GPUs.
Well, but the Frontier cards are blue.
Yeah, and Ryzen's orange, right?
Either way, you've been found out. You money hats to AMD, so
sure,
come clean.
Yes, that's it.
Driving that old Camry and all your cash.
Yeah,
showing it everywhere.
I don't know if y'all can see it on the feed, but if you look on my conference badges in the back corner, I have both AMD and NVIDIA because I hate and love everybody equally.
Yeah, I love that you started with love and not hate.
He had to stop so he didn't swear. So. And actually, Adam, that was the only question I have, which I read timely. So if you got questions, send Full Nerd. I don't even know what the hell the email is. thefullnerd@pcworld.com. But
Full Nerd, or do both. One of them will bounce, one of them won't.
Yes, it is the Full Nerd. But. Any questions from the chat?
Yes. Let me find them.
Because we're running out of time where we are going to get yelled at really soon here, I think.
It's Friday.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you guys going to buy a Threadripper personally? Do you guys have any case for those?
Personally, no. I don't. I don't buy high-end Intel platform myself either because I'm mostly gaming and doing, writer style work. So not for me.
I have children, and I'm surprised Brad didn't say this as well. So I'm still rolling X79. So
I don't have any of that, but I actually might just for funsies.
Yeah, nice. So Jacob Flores says, with Vega's impending release, would you recommend waiting to buy low-end Vega or high-end Polaris? I tend to keep cards for a few years and want would be the best in the long term.
Depends on your budget, and hopefully they show more concrete details of Computex, which is just a week and a half away. If that's the case, I would suggest waiting the week and a half, see if anything happens with Vega. It depends on your budget because Polaris, the 580s, 580s, they're priced at $240. So if that's what you're looking at budget-wise, wherever Vega's going to slot in, it's going to be above that. So.
All right.
Depends on your budget. If you're willing to spend more, why not wait a little bit, see what happens.
E. Lopez 580. What's your take on Coffee Lake?
It sounds so Coffee Lake, for people who don't know, is it? Yeah, and we're not talking Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake is past Coffee Lake, right? So it's the code name for Intel's next generation part beyond Kaby Lake. It sounds like
it's 10 nanometer, right?
No. Apparently, Coffee Lake is it's
that's
the
TikTok plus
the plus thing.
Yes. So it is a stretched out better version of Kaby Lake, which was a stretched out better version of Skylake. I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe they'll jam in some new instructions, possibly. I don't think so. It's the same process, though. Process is not going to get there, but I'm going to guess the clocks will be nice. There are rumors of them doing another part that will have crazy high clock speeds, and I think actually, it's people always kind of want that jazzed up. I want a next generation smaller process part. Not going to happen. I don't know. It's really hard to say. We're sort of in uncharted territory right now because, Intel does have competition. So I do think it'll be faster than Kaby Lake. That's all I can tell you, right? So, but is it going to be enough to go is it going to be enough for people to pass up on an 8-core, 10-core, 12-core build? I don't know. So.
It is crazy how it is the first time in forever that there really is competition for Intel. Because yesterday, ASUS teased the Ryzen laptop, right?
Right.
And everyone's like, oh, look at this. It's a Ryzen laptop coming. When is the last time that you can remember that anybody was like, oh, man, an AMD laptop is coming?
Yeah, and the thing is that it was a ROG, right? ASUS Republic Gamer. So that is a high-end, high-performance laptop. This is not there are AMD laptops, but they are typically
$400,
$300, $400. They are not high-end
very
laptops.
budget.
Very cheesy, very budget. They usually do not compare to the really nice Intel ones. This is it looks like a good win for AMD. But I got to say though, I mean, getting back to Coffee Lake, gaming still, frankly, most people don't need more than a quad core, and right now higher clocks, higher IPC is better. And there's still an argument for that. Coffee Lake's going to be better than Kaby Lake, which is arguably the best gaming CPU out right now. So I could see an argument for that happening when it comes out.
You're going to make some angry comments happen.
I just gotta, because people gotta understand. Like for me, I like core counts. I don't play at low resolution. I'm usually GPU bound anyway. So there is an argument for it. People just got to recognize that. Yeah, I don't know. People got to admit the truth. Kaby Lake is faster at gaming than Ryzen. Hell, Broadwell is faster in some games, right? A lot of games actually. So the answer to that is complicated. I feel like we're lawyers here. It depends on game optimization. It's not like it's bad. It's probably going to get better. I think DirectX 12 is interesting, right? So once we get more core supporting games, it'll. Then you might be looking at 8-core being better, but we're not there yet. If you're buying for today, Kaby Lake, damn good platform. I don't care what anyone says.
Cool. First, we've got one last question, but I want to say thank you to everyone for asking in your questions. Really appreciate it. The last one's kind of a fun one. Davis Lawrence asks, what mouse is everyone rocking?
The same one that I've been rocking for a long time. Razer, I can't pull it up. It's plugged in. Razer Death Adder. It's basic. I mean, it's, only got a couple of buttons on the side, but I find the ergonomics so great. It's ultra responsive. It's perfect for work and play for me. So Razer Death Adder. I've had one die in the past, and I immediately bought another one.
Oh.
Wow, that was actually almost like an advertisement.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's almost like they paid us.
No, it's not what I'm saying. I was just saying that I'm surprised. Like, it was such a ringing endorsement.
For me, I mean, tangent time. To me, the most important parts of your PC are the things that you actually physically touch all day, every day. So the keyboard and mouse. So they both got to be great because I work for 10 hours a day, and then I play games. So it has to be great, and that one's done me right the entire time. No complaints.
Nice.
All right, so I am going to recommend a mouse here. I just want to make sure I've got it. Although they don't even sell it. Can you still get them? I still use a Logitech G9.
Oh, yeah.
The shape of it.
Classic.
It's a true classic. They, of course, replaced it with a G9X. It's an awesome mouse. And I will say, for people who don't, because you always get the people like, it doesn't matter. You could use whatever cheap mouse. Because that's not actually true. I had Will Smith years ago, who was a big, believer in gaming mice. He
getting jiggy with it.
Will Smith.
Getting jiggy with it.
He gave me,
Just kidding.
The
Wrong Will
singer,
Smith.
wrong Will Smith. The more famous one. Oh, wait, no, that's not true. And, I went from my Microsoft IntelliMouse, right? Because everybody's like, IntelliMouse.
Oh, I remember that one. With the blue laser.
I have
right?
5 of those. No, the big fat one, right?
Oh,
with the red
okay.
laser. It was just an LED, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I still have 5 of those. But no, once I went to a gaming mouse for actual gaming, can't beat it. So Even for general use, gaming mice are better, I think, as long as it fits your hand.
So the little tiny embarrassed smile is because, one, I'm considered a dirty console gamer in these parts. So I don't use a mouse for gaming. And I can hear everyone just tuning me out all across the internet right now.
It's okay. I actually just use the Xbox controller on my PC most of the time.
Worse.
High five. But I actually use a G302, a Logitech, for just everyday stuff when I'm not using my special ergonomic stuff at work because, repetitive stress injuries.
Nice.
Yay.
Oh my God. The Logitech G9X laser mouse is $256.87 at memory4less.com, according to Google.
Wow.
It's $110 on eBay?
Yeah, for the G9X.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
And I only have the G9. Oh, man. They stopped making it?
Which one? What is it? The one with the swappable parts, Logitech G902, I think it is. The gaming mouse where you can swap out the weights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hayden, who was our mouse guy, that's his favorite. Just in case anybody was wondering, he's
nice.
reviewed tons of mouses. That's his favorite by far. So
nice. So actually, at home, I have two setups. My everyday tasks, especially for work, I'm a trackball guy. I love Kensington trackball, like the big guy with the buttons and everything. Oh yeah, but then I have a Razer Death Adder right next to it for gaming.
Good man.
So yeah. So and then also use the gamepad. So I've got multiple ways to control, but also then I have two headsets hooked up because I use a real nice mixing headphones for like work projects, and then I have the wireless. I can't remember who it was. Yeah, the USB, the wireless ones for gaming.
Do you swap? Then you plug in your USB headset when you're playing games?
Actually, no. So I can route system audio mostly through the wireless headset, and then the pro applications like Premiere, you can actually set it to a completely different thing that's not your system audio. So when I know I'm going to do some work, I just put those on, and then I don't have to switch anything. It's all ready.
Did we ever?
I've got two headphones too. I've got music headphones and gaming headphones.
Oh, okay, nice. I thought I was a weird one.
Actually, I'm really curious about that because the prevailing rule of thumb right now on the internet is that you don't need to buy a gaming headset. You just buy a good set of like studio headphones and you buy like a standalone mic and you're all set. So why do you actually switch over to a gaming headset?
Well, I mean, we had. I wish I could remember. It's whatever those are back there.
That's very descriptive.
Yeah, no, we have them back there.
Are those the Corsairs or? Oh, those are Astros. It looks like.
Yes, Astro A50s is what we have, or what I have, because I was kind of testing them out because I've never had wireless audio. So for me, it's like, okay, how is wireless audio? Like, is it good? And then through my mixing headset, I'm actually using the Sound Blaster, the ZXR. To test that out. So I'm kind of, doing testing, but it also kind of works out nice. I mean, for gaming though, so for high-end mixing, you want open ear, so that you can still kind of hear stuff around you. For gaming, I want closed ear. I want to be in it. So that's why I would say I kind of don't agree with that because I like closed ear for gaming. So anyway. Long-winded.
Yeah, we actually do have to revisit the sound card versus USB audio. You should.
I've been testing it.
I've been testing it too, actually, and I'm hoping to write it up soon in an article on PC World. But I've been hoping to do that for months. So
okay, we need to save that because man, we'll
loop around.
It's like we are going to talk about that in future episodes. So
yeah,
have some interesting findings personally. So yeah, I would love to.
Now I want to know. Damn it!
Don't spoil it.
All right. That's the last question, so I'm going to take us out. Yes, and so check back in 2 weeks for your fix of PC Talk on the Full Nerd for audio listeners. What?
2 weeks from now is Computex.
Check back in
3 weeks.
No, 3 weeks is E3.
Check back at some point in the future. Check back in the future for your fix of PC Talk. Hot news out of Computex and E3 on the Full Nerd. The world will be different, I think, on the other side of E3 and Computex. For audio listeners, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. Send questions and comments to thefullnerd@PCWorld.com. Yes, we did read one today, so we are reading them. Thanks for coming. I'm Gordon Ung. We're Brad Charkis.
Adios.
Elena Yee.
Bye, everyone.
And Adam Patrick Murray.
Thanks again, everybody. Don't forget to go out and buy forks. So you can pick them up at your local place.
I prefer